Good morning, readers. I hope you're well today. I hope it's bright and sunny where you are and that you have a good book on your nightstand. Welcome back to Books, Ink, and Paper. I'm Lori, and today's video is all about a recent book signing that I went to, an evening with Judith Viorst. I had been at Octavia Books in the New Orleans metro area a couple of weeks ago for Independent Bookseller Day, and we discovered that there was a book signing and author talk at the Jewish Community Center in New Orleans on St. Charles earlier this week. And so my daughter and I said, gosh, we would love to go. We have a history with Judith Viorst that goes back to when my kids were young. When they were little, I read them Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day a lot. And they all really related to this book, and it became one of their favorites. And it's one that I've had a copy of all along. This particular one, I was lucky enough to have the author sign it for my little Adeline, and she will get it probably for Christmas this year. So we'll see if little Adeline likes this book as much as her aunts and her sister did, because Candace loved it too. But Judith Viorst also writes the Lulu series, which is special to us for reasons I'll tell you about in a moment. And then she writes a number of books, has done for several decades now, right around the time that she's nearing another milestone. And she is currently 88, so she will be 90 in a couple of years. And so this one is called Nearing 90 and Other Comedies of Late Life. She spoke about not only her children's books, but she spoke about these books of poetry. She spoke about how she began writing, how she got to Washington, D.C., because she was originally from New Jersey and lived in New York for a time, but she's been in D.C. now for a while. What I love about discussions with authors is that you really get their perspective on their lives, their careers, on writing, on what it takes to create a writing life, and sometimes what it takes to create a reading life, what they also like to read. I did ask her what poets she appreciates, and she said she does like Billy Collins, contemporary poets. There's a number of poets that she appreciates, older classic poetry, if you will. She also talked a little bit about the fact that as she's nearing 90, one of the things that she does now is to memorize poems so that she will keep her brain sharp and her memory really connecting. And I thought that was a great idea, and I may try that myself as well. So I'd love to read you one of the poems that she read the other night that I really appreciated, and it is called Lunch with Shirley. Gotta get my reading glasses on. So sometimes I wake in the morning and I'm thinking that this could turn out to be my last day on earth. So I'd better start savoring every precious moment, every single precious, blessed moment, each and every relentlessly precious, relentlessly blessed moment of what could turn out to be my last day on earth. This is very exhausting. So I'm thinking today I'll just have lunch with Shirley, and we'll share the Caesar salad and the shrimp and talk through our decaf espressos about everything and nothing, nothing and everything. Our marriages, thinning hair, gun control, the grandchildren, how many times we get up to pee at night, the coming election, our book club selection, whether this lipstick's too bright, and does eating a pickle really help with leg cramps? We'll bitch a little and laugh a lot and gossip more than we should, trusting there's nothing it isn't safe to say. And I'm thinking that lunch with Shirley on an ordinary day would not be a bad way to spend my last day on earth. I loved this poem so much, and many of the others. She read about 5 or 6 of them. And they really are just about her life as an older woman, as an older wife and mother, as a friend. She was really amusing, really candid about her her about the challenges of nearing 90 and about the changes that she's experienced in her life, not just as a writer, but as an American citizen, as a woman in a changing landscape. It was incredible. So here's what I love about author talks and book signings, and I am fortunate to be able to go to a lot of them. I have a lot of independent bookstores in my area that really bring amazing authors into town. Eric Larson, Greg Iles has been here. Jessamine Ward, it took me a minute. Jessamine Ward, who actually lives nearby, comes to sign books all the time. We just have a really rich place for authors to land and speak, and it is my privilege to listen to them. What I love about it is they don't just exchange a book or a number of books. They exchange information. They exchange stories about their lives. They exchange recommendations for what other books you could read, what books they read. They talk about the development, the process, the joy that they feel when people appreciate what they've written. And when I think about it, and I have thought about it a lot, because I've always wanted to write a book, a novel, since I was a very young girl. And I very well might do that one day. But when I think about what it takes to do that, it is probably one of the most courageous things you could do. Not only do you write a book from start to finish, then you submit it to someone to decide if it's worthy of publication in their minds, which is a subjective kind of an experience, right? Then your editor goes through it, changes it, then you hope it will sell. Then people read it, review it, talk about it, sometimes in wonderful ways and sometimes not. And then you go to book talks and you speak to people, which I'm sure it's an energetic exchange. There's no doubt, especially when you're nearing 90. I can't imagine. There are lots of other things she could have spent her time doing the other night than coming to New Orleans from Washington, D.C. and speaking to a bunch of us in the room who wanted to meet her. And she took that time to do it. And she was gracious and funny and lovely. And I appreciated it so much. Then she took time to sign our books. And so here's another little story about Judith Viorst. At the end of last year, my daughter Megan, who teaches second grade in New Orleans, had read Lulu and the Brontosaurus to her class and wanted them to each have a copy of Lulu and the Brontosaurus for Christmas. But because there were 40 of them, it was quite a financial commitment on her part, and she spends a lot of money on those kids throughout the year. So she put out a little call on Facebook to see if people would buy the book and mail it to her at school so that she would hopefully have 40 of those books to be able to give to the kids. And she thought, if there's a few at the end that I have to get myself, I'll do it. By the next day, she had committed people to send 40 books. And she had people who missed out and were agreeable to doing this again later if she decided to create another one of these gifting projects. The support was overwhelming, and her wish was fulfilled very, very quickly. She wrapped them all lovingly and couldn't wait for them to open their books. So they each got their package. She put the little iPhone on and she filmed them opening their books, and they squealed and screamed. They were so excited and delighted, sharing with each other in smiles that are just, I will never unsee those smiles. I will always remember, God willing, that class opening those books. And because Megan has a video of it, I can watch it over and over again. Now, what you might not know is that for some of those kids, Lulu and the Brontosaurus, gifted to them by a number of strangers, is the only book that they own. And also that day, when given the choice to go to recess or stay in the classroom and read their new book, many of them chose to stay and read. The gift of one book can make such a difference in the life of one child. Imagine how excited some of them were to have their very, very first book. When we were nearing the table for Judith to sign our books, Megan said, "Do you think I could show her the video?" And I said, "Absolutely, absolutely. Ask her if she would like to see it." And she did. And Judith watched it with amazement. And I could tell she was really sort of surprised by their joy and by the fact that this teacher in New Orleans that she'd never met would have gone out of her way to get maybe 10 people to donate, 10 to 12, 15 people to donate 40 books so that each one of her kids would have one. Megan now has a copy of Lulu and the Brontosaurus that's signed by Judith Viorst, and it says, "To Miss Johnson's class." So there will always be a copy of that book in that classroom, and there will always be a memory of the night we got to meet Judith Viorst and tell her how much the children in our lives have loved her books. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you are able to go to author book signings in your area. If you're not, I encourage you to reach out to booksellers in your community and find out if they offer these kinds of events and take a look, go and watch. If you are able to meet authors, I'd love to know who you've met and why it was special to you. As always, I appreciate your support. I encourage you to like, comment, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the button above to get notified when a new video is posted. And as always, happy reading. Bye.